Using art to instill cultural pride and raise reading achievement. My name is Rebecca Henson. I'd like to start by sharing a quote from one of my heroes. Kailash Satyarthi and his team liberated over 86,000 children from child labor, slavery, and trafficking in India. He said, "All children are our children." By birth, I have one child, Alexander Forrest Huba, who you see here with our beloved Jessica. But I have 820 more children at South Grade Elementary in Lake Worth, Florida, where I've been teaching for 18 years. I teach the art of Central America, North America, and the Caribbean to instill cultural pride and raise reading achievement. For me, it's personal. My students want to learn about their heritages. They're always asking, "Miss Henson, when are you going to do Honduras? When are you going to do El Salvador?" In my familial culture, my father taught us that we were just as good as anyone. "We all put our pants on one leg at a time," he would say. My mother taught us to build people up, not tear them down. She said to look for the good in everyone. So I try to embrace the good in every child and embrace the good in every culture as reflected in its art. All cultures have art. Japan, Russia, Canada, United States of America, Cambodia, Finland, Italy, Nigeria, Mongolia, Australia, Mexico, China, Nepal, Egypt, India. All cultures have dance, music, and clothing. Bulgaria, Dominican Republic, Malawi, Ecuador, Brazil, Ukraine, Iran, Korea, India, Philippines, Russia, China, Scotland, Tibet, Turkey, Mexico. All cultures have rituals and religion. Argentina, Bali, Germany, Ireland, United States of America, China, England, Turkey, Hawaii, Israel, India, Peru, England, Spain, South Africa, Germany. All cultures have shelter. Japan, Mali, Indonesia, Peru, Morocco, Vietnam, Myanmar, Nepal, Spain, Syria, Thailand, China, Mexico, India, Cambodia. Our connection to our culture is powerful. Can culture drive academic achievement? Alberto Carvalho said, "The exploration of heritage excites and entices our kids." Cultural exploration excites and motivates. Dr. Bernadette Kelly said, "If we teach students about where they come from, reading and math scores increase. Every group and every student must feel part of the education process. If a child sees their culture honored in school, it makes school a place where they belong." Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said, "Sports and entertainment are the only places where inner-city kids see themselves being able to succeed." Rebecca Haslam says, throughout her entire K-12 childhood experience, she never once saw anyone who looked like her. If a child sees affirming representations of their culture in school, it is a mirror which says, "I can succeed here." Uno Diaz said, "If you want to make a human being into a monster, deny them at the cultural level any reflection of themselves." If a child sees a reflection of their culture, it connects them with humanity. Can culture drive reading achievement? Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop emphasizes the critical importance of multicultural literature for children. She uses a metaphor of windows and mirrors to explain the ways in which children experience other cultures and see their own culture reflected and validated through the books they read. Diverse books mirror and validate our own identity and provide windows into other cultures. Here's an example of a window. My older sister gave me a copy of Madeline when I was a little girl. I must have read it at least 100 times. It planted a seed that I would one day go to France. I earned my bachelor's in art from Duke University, but during my junior year, I studied art in Paris at l'Académie de la Grande Chaumière in the studio of Yves Brayer, a member of l'Académie des Beaux-Arts. After school, I frequented cafes with friends for espresso and conversation. I visited boulangeries for pâtisseries or my favorite pain au chocolat. I traveled to Italy and England, but spent most of my time exploring French culture. I walked along the Champs-Élysées as I'd seen in the movies. I visited Notre Dame Cathedral and walked daily through the Jardin de Luxembourg on my way to school. I visited Versailles, 12 miles from Paris, to see the world of Louis XIV. I lived with a French family. Madame Dumas made me feel so welcome. She took an interest in my American culture. She loved Westerns. I'll never forget John Wayne dubbed over in French. Madame Dumas taught me French traditions. I enjoyed many wonderful hours of conversation around her dining room table. I had studied French for 5 years stateside, but her daughter Anne was my greatest French teacher. She spoke with me an hour or two almost every day. The process of becoming fluent was exhausting but rewarding. Monsieur Brayer welcomed us into his studio. He encouraged our progress, but Monsieur Robert was more hands-on. With his guidance, our drawings and paintings rapidly improved. Far from home, my French family and teachers embraced me with such warmth. They made me feel that I belonged. They told me I could succeed, and I believed them. Because they believed in me, I believed in myself. The window that one book opened for me greatly enriched my life. In Paris, at le Musée du Louvre, I studied European classics, Venus de Milo, Nike of Samothrace, Van Eyck, Da Vinci, Van Dyck, Rembrandt, David, Canova, de la Tour, Rubens, Gainsborough, Cagliari, and Ingres. At Le Jour de Paume, I studied French Impressionist and Post-Impressionist. Manet, Monet, Degas, Renoir, Van Gogh, Gauguin, and Cézanne. What I learned was that what a culture loves most is always reflected in their art. In essence, art reveals the soul of a nation. My background was useful for teaching European art to children of European ancestry at Plantation Key School in the Florida Keys. But that art did not reflect the cultures of children at South Grade Elementary in Lake Worth, Florida, where 80% of my students are English language learners. My South Grade colleague shared that when she arrived from Nicaragua, that she felt ashamed of who she was and where she came from. I thought, I can't let that happen to my students. What can I do? Well, I'm an art teacher. I'm going to teach my students about the art of their cultures. But no K-12 textbook existed for teaching the art of Central America and the Caribbean. But there were many scholarly texts. As I studied those texts, I taught my students what I learned using authentic art of their cultures. One day, I was teaching my kindergarten students about the art of backstrap weaving. Adam blurted out, "Mi abuela me corte," and he excitedly shared what he knew. When his teacher came to pick her students up, she exclaimed, "What happened to Adam?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, He's in the silent phase. I said, "What's that?" She said, "He never speaks." But that day, Adam saw something he recognized, and he wanted to share what he knew. Another kindergarten student, Tomas, never smiled, never spoke, and never looked you in the eye. For years, I tried everything to reach out to him, but nothing worked. In 4th grade, I taught his class about the art of Tecunuman, a Maya prince who fought against the Spanish conquistadors. At the end of that class, Tomas rose up out of his seat. He walked over, he looked me in the eye, and he said, "Thank you." Of all the things that I had tried, it was the art of his own culture which spoke to his heart. Today, I hope you are inspired to identify and honor what your students love most from their cultures. I hope the view into their worlds will greatly enrich your life. On my journey, sculptors wanted to share their sculptures with children. Painters wanted to share their paintings with children. Scholars wanted to share their knowledge with children. Here's an example. In addition to serving as the Dean of Yale, Dr. Mary Ellen Miller co-authored The Gods and Symbols of Ancient Mexico and the Maya. I studied her book before writing Legend of Tenochtitlan. Dr. Miller was kind enough to check my book for accuracy. Other scholars edited additional texts. Fisher and Frey talk about 4 different depths of knowledge and 4 types of text-dependent questions of increasing complexity. For those of you who teach the reading standards, I feel your pain. My Harvard-educated friend retired from teaching in New York City. Roy told me that my 5th grade questions were high school level. I told him, no, that's what they expect a 10-year-old to do today. 10-year-olds must analyze structure, author's craft, author's purpose, intertextual connections, and provide opinion with evidence or argument. As we know, the stakes are high. If a student can't do these scholarly tasks, they will never graduate. And what kind of life are they going to have in the United States of America without a high school diploma? I have a lot of skin in the game, and if you have dedicated your life to teaching, I know you do too. We must teach our students to analyze texts. Their futures depend upon it. In my workshops, we delve deeply into Central American, North American, and Caribbean texts. Working in small groups, we focus on Level 3 and Level 4 text-dependent questions. We can't expect students to answer these questions if we don't do it ourselves sometimes. So we actually do the work. I just led a workshop for Miami-Dade teachers. Their text analysis was brilliant. The art of our students' cultures is amazing. It's beautiful. It reflects what their cultures love most. It's a powerful resource for teaching students to analyze text. As we share that art, may our students rejoice in who they are and where they came from. May they know that school is a home away from home, where their culture is respected, a place where they truly belong, a place where they can succeed.